Hi, my name is Paige Torres, and this is my video submission of my children's book, Read Aloud. I chose The Berenstain Bears Graduation Day by Mike Berenstain, and I chose this book for this specific assignment because I love the Berenstain Bear books. I feel like they're great children's books. I feel like they have a lot of great lessons that they teach within these books. There's a variety of different ones talking about different things. A lot of them are, school centered. And I felt like this book goes along with our essential question of how, different physical and motivational aspects can help keep our students engaged and interested, because in this book, it paints school in an extremely positive light, talking about how much they learned in school and the type of things they did, the trips they went on, the experiments, the things they studied. And I feel like there are several great examples of kids being very engaged and interested in their learning in this book. So here we go. The Berenstain Bears Graduation Day. Spring was nearly over in Bear Country. The daffodils and tulips had come and gone. So had Easter candy and Mother's Day cards. June was about to arrive. And for Brother and Sister Bear, that meant just one thing: no more school. And this sign says, "School's out, have a nice vacation." What are some key words that we read that are about spring in this? Or what are some clues in the picture that you see that tell us that it's spring, nearly the end of spring? Some key words. Talk to your neighbor. Sister was finishing first grade and Brother was moving up from third. Even little Honey was ending her first year of daycare. So what do we see in some of these papers? Say promoted. Turn to your partner and tell them what you think promoted means. We see Sister Bear in daycare. They all learned a lot in school that year. Brother's class studied the earth and learned about rocks, earthquakes, and volcanoes. He even made a model of a volcano that squirted lava out the top. So here we see Brother Bear with his volcano. And I have a feeling this is some type of science class. Why don't you turn to your partner and tell them what your favorite activity or experiment you've ever done in science has been. Sister's class learned about plants and animals. They took care of a cute little hamster and kept a lizard and a frog in a glass case full of plants and mossy rocks. They brought cocoons in from the cold to watch as beautiful butterflies and moths hatched out of them. Turn to your partner and tell them what you think a cocoon is. You may already know, but turn to your partner and tell them what you think a cocoon is. Use the words butterflies and moths maybe as your clue words. And notice how much fun they're having. Let's flip back for a moment. Look at how much fun these students are having. They're not just having to sit and, listen or write. They're really what we call engaged. They're really involved in their learning. They are doing experiments. They're learning about the earth. They're learning about real life things that we deal with. They're learning how to take care of plants and animals. Talk to your neighbor. Let them know if you have a pet at home or if you've ever had a pet in a classroom. When I was in kindergarten, my kindergarten teacher, Mrs. Walter, she always had guinea pigs. She would have a guinea pig. She would have goldfish. We had several class pets. Honey learned things too. She played with toys that taught about shapes and numbers. She learned how to do things with other cubs, but she did not need to learn how to take naps. She was already good at that. So little sister, she's in daycare. So in daycare, you do a lot of things other than take naps. You learn things too. It shows her learning her skills of building blocks. She's learning how to share. That's a really important task to learn as a little kid. The Cubs did other fun things at school too. They played sports like soccer, basketball, and baseball. They played games during recess. Why don't you turn to your neighbor again, please, and why don't you tell them what your favorite game at recess is to play? They went on exciting field trips to interesting places. This says the Berenstain Institution. Looks like they're at an aquarium, a farm, a petting zoo maybe. Why don't you turn to a different partner this time, and I want you to tell them what your favorite field trip you've been on was. Okay, why don't you share with me what was your neighbor's favorite field trip? Oh, that's fun. The Cubs enjoyed their school year, but they were ready for a break. They were looking forward to summer, to picnics and swimming, to hiking and fishing, to long summer evenings of chasing fireflies and toasting marshmallows. Can I have a couple of you volunteer? Why don't you raise your hand if you want to share what your favorite summer activity is when school's out? Yes, that's the, I love doing that during the summer too. Over here. Yes, those are such fun summer activities. Looks like they're watching maybe the sunset. He's swimming, hiking, fishing, catching fireflies, camping. When the month of May came to an end, it was time to turn the calendar to June. The Cubs drew a big red circle around the last day of school and crossed off each day as it passed. This year, the Bear Country School was having a real graduation ceremony for every grade in school. Mama and Papa thought this was a nice idea. It would make everyone stop and think about how much the Cubs had learned and done during the whole year of school. Why don't you turn to your partner and tell them how you feel toward the end of school? Do you feel accomplished? Do you feel like your brain is just going to explode because it has so many new things in it? Why don't you turn to your partner? And then I'll let you share what your partner said their favorite, or how their feelings were at the end of school. Best of all, said Sister, we get to wear graduation costumes. Ugh, said Brother. We get to wear cute graduation costumes, Sister said. Ugh, said Brother. I don't want to look cute. At last, graduation day had arrived and the Cubs put on their costumes. They each had a little cap and gown. Even Brother had to admit they didn't look too bad. Brother's was blue, Sister's and Honey's were white. The caps had tassels that kept getting in the Cubs' faces. They tried to blow them out of the way. Why don't you turn to your neighbor and tell them about a time you've been to a graduation where you've seen them wear these gowns, the caps and gowns. Grizzly Gramps and Gran stopped by to take pictures. My, aren't they adorable, said Gran, wiping away a tear. Time we got going, young'uns, said Gramps, looking at his watch. You don't want to be late for your own graduation day. When the family arrived at school, the auditorium was packed with families of graduating students. Then the school band began to play. They played good and loud. The graduating Cubs in their caps and gowns marched down the aisle and up onto the stage. Look at all those people, all the proud family members. Here they are coming down the aisle in their gowns. The band playing. Look, said Gran, there's Brother, Sister, and Honey. Gramps stood on his chair to take a picture. Get down from there before you hurt yourself, scolded Gran. Principal Honeycomb made a few brief remarks. Then Fruity Factual, one of the best students in the school, gave a speech about honesty, hard work, good sportsmanship, caring for others, and being true to yourself. Real quick, why don't you turn to your partner and tell them what honesty means. Give them an example of honesty. Got it? Okay, now turn to another partner, and I'd like you to explain to each other what sportsmanship is and give them an example of good sportsmanship. Those are important values. We don't just learn about, math and science and reading at school. We also learn these things. We learn about how it's important to be honest, to work hard, to have good sportsmanship, to care for others, and to be true to ourselves. That's Professor Factual's nephew, Mama whispered to Gran. Papa and Gramp fell asleep. Mama and Gran poked them awake. Here they are sleeping, Papa and Gramps. Finally, all the students filed across the stage as their names were called. Principal Honeycomb handed them their diplomas, fancy rolled up pieces of paper with their names on them. Gramps stood up on his chair to take pictures again as Brother, Sister, and Honey received their diplomas. As they marched back down the aisle, cameras flashed and the audience clapped and whistled. Gramps even honked on a loud noisemaker. And this says, diploma. Brother Bear is hereby promoted from 3rd to 4th grade. Signed, Principal Honeycomb. Remember earlier when we saw that paper, earlier in the story when we saw that paper that Brother Bear and Sister Bear had and it said promoted, and I said, turn to your partner and tell them what you think promoted means. Well, now we know what promoted means. Promoted means that you get moved on, that you've completed, you've done everything you needed to do, and you're being promoted to the next grade. You're moving up. Outside of the schoolyard, the graduating cubs laughed and cried, hugging one another and posing for pictures. They wouldn't all be together again until the next school year. Too Tall Grizzly took off his cap and called, all together now, 1, 2, 3, he yelled, throwing his cap into the air. All the cubs threw their caps into the air. They made a pretty blue and white cloud. Yay, all the cubs yelled. Have you ever seen that at a graduation at the end when they all toss their caps? That's a pretty fun ending, isn't it? Honey took off her little white cap too. 1, 2, free, she called, throwing it in the air. I didn't know Honey could count, said Gran. She learned this year in daycare, said Papa. That's what graduation day is all about, being proud of everything our students did in school this year, and being excited about all of the wonderful things they will be doing next year, added Mama. Gramps took another picture. Squeeze in closer and say, Honey, he said. Honey, they all said, as the camera clicked. There they are.